Yes, Susan?
I think that the Bluffton Road corridor coming from the airport is a major corridor for visitors coming into our city. And I would be interested to know what each of these candidates would do to try to what kind of ideas would you see to put money towards improving that corridor?
The question was, what ideas would you have for funding improvements to the Bluffton Road corridor coming from the airport into the city? And we'll start with Mr. Hall.
Just like anything, I think it's primarily got to come from the private sector. The public sector gets in and might put something in there, but then you're looking at potential long-term costs that just isn't necessarily calculated up front. Probably the best we can maybe hope for on that corridor, once you pull off Bearfield Thruway, you've got the old carpet guy and maybe a hair place that used to be there, and then you kind of get into Waynedale proper, and it's fairly well populated with some retail stuff. It's not high end, but it serves the people of Waynedale fairly well, I would imagine. I'm sure they still venture out from time to time, but it's just like the neighborhoods around here. The better we can make it for people to live in those areas, the more likelihood that you're going to have a strong retail presence in those areas, and the more likelihood you're going to have full up storefronts. It's just like anything else. You got to have people there. You got to have people there to make, at least on a retail level, make retail go. Obviously, the more we can do to attract value-added business, whether it be service or a manufacturing or a software or high tech, which everybody likes to dream about. The more we can make it affordable and easy for those people to do business, the better likelihood we've got them, and the better we do with maintaining the residential stock around that area, the better chance we've got some at reliable retail as well.
Mr. Paddock?
Well, thanks. And I think a couple of things I would add to that would be the first thing I would probably want to do is to confer with neighborhoods that are located in that particular area. And since Bluffton Road extends south into the 4th district, the councilman from that district, who at this point is Mitch Harper, corridors going in other directions, perhaps a neighboring council member from there as well. But as I mentioned, the neighborhood associations, some of the meetings that I've been attending are really being proactive on this and coming up with some very good plans where they're involving the private sector. They're raising some funding themselves, because obviously the improvements that we make are going to have to be maintained. I've heard some disparaging stories about some of the markers that the city put in for the city's bicentennial a few years ago, that they haven't been maintained as well as they should be as far as welcoming points into the city. So we have to take a look at that and make sure we have the funding for it. Also, I think we should also try to make it as easy as we possibly can to get from the airport into downtown Fort Wayne. And I know that's been addressed several times as well. But working with the neighborhood associations and coming up with specific ideas of where we can raise the funding, particularly from the private sector, put something together that is attractive, that's visible, that directs traffic, and also is easy to maintain is something that would be a priority for me.
Mr. Ferguson?
Well, I'm not really sure how to answer that question myself, because I haven't really noticed anything wrong with Bluffton Road. It suits me fine, and I don't think there's anything we really need to do to it. But there again, if we stop building the new, we could better take care of the old. And if anything needs repaired, improved, redesigned, that's where the money can come from.